Hey guys, AnnaFan97203 here. So, first of all, I want to apologize that I'm sick. Second of all, I want to apologize that this is vertical. The app won't function horizontally. So, that sucks. That's really annoying, and I sincerely dislike that, but we'll get into the proper review of the app soon enough. As you can tell, I am bringing back AppCrapp, and I thought, hey, if I'm going to bring it back, why not start off with a game that everyone has been talking about? Let's start off with Mafia City. Obviously, if you've seen the ads, you know that this is quite the meme at the moment. It is certainly been hyped up quite a bit. Maybe not in a good way, but nonetheless, it has been hyped up. I can tell by the people who are playing this game that it has certainly attracted that crowd, but, well, we'll talk here in a moment about whether or not it lives up to expectations on being a good, fun meme of a game that's ridiculous and just all over the place. In a good way, is how people are hoping. But we'll talk about that soon enough. And to start this off, I feel like the best way to describe this game is a juxtaposition. I know, an interesting way, but I feel like that is the best way to describe it. Between being vapid and cluttered, between being kind of modern, if not futuristic, kind of Empire-style game and wanting to be more Soprano, Mafia, between this weird Japanese stuff and more serious Mafia, and between the chat and the people who are playing the game and the game's own more family-friendly style. We'll start off with the family-friendly bit because I feel like I need to get that out of the way immediately to explain a number of things. First of all, you'll notice when I go to the chat here, I am on the clan chat, because down there, right next to where it says talk, where I go and I tap on to go to the chat, that is where any new chat messages would appear. It will say what the person said, it will show their profile picture, and it'll say their name. And that's all great. That's what you would expect from a chat system. Except here's the problem. The game has nothing to censor any of that, whether it be profile picture images not being censored, or whether it be what people say not being censored. Now, personally, I am a fan of not censoring things. I like when people have proper free speech. And in a game about a mafia, something that is extremely criminal, often deals with very dark and mature subjects, I have no problems with that. Except here's the issue. The game itself censors swear words quite a bit. Whenever there's dialogue, I've never seen any proper swearing. Let's put it that way. Such as if I tap on here to train a guy, whores is just about the worst I've heard.
What's up, whores? Time to get... The dead cannot speak. Night-night, pussies.
No, there's pussies too. I missed out on that one.
Whores.
Yeah. Whores and pussies.
Asshole. You'll not live to see the next sunrise.
And asshole. Yeah. Nothing too extreme. It's what you would expect from a, we'll say, not kid, but like young teenager kind of. Like, there was one moment in the, we'll call it the main plot line, where the dialogue that was shown to me used the word freaking. And at that point I realized this game wants to be like, oh, we're cool, we're a mafia game. But it's not. And you're going to say, well, the language, it's not a big issue, it's whatever. It's how the people want to have their language. They don't need to add the word fuck everywhere. It's like, well, that's a fair point. Here's the thing. What do you think a mafia does? A mob. They're going to get involved in drug cartels. They're going to be involved in corruption, right? They're going to be doing a lot of arms dealing. You don't deal arms. You can make your own weapons. You can arm your, essentially, army is what it is. That is stored over here for some reason. You can counterfeit money. You cannot do anything to do with drugs whatsoever. You cannot sell arms to people with malintent. You can never kill anyone who has done no wrong. You can only fight other mafia people and rogue cops. Not even cops. You can't fight off the cops. It's a rogue cop, so it's another criminal. That's what it is. If the cop is going rogue, then it's vigilante justice, or it's just straight up breaking the law. So, okay, yeah, you're only fighting bad guys. I don't know if the game wants you to seem like the good guy, but when you're making a Mafia game, that's not what you want. And again, that juxtaposes with the whole chat, everything about the chat, with the adult Japanese imagery, profile pictures, and the anti-Semitism that they like to spout. It's juxtaposed so heavily. I don't quite know what they're going for. If they want this to be family friendly or not. Now, as you can see there, the gate and the sign, the number 5 sign right there, are clipping. Yeah, the layering of the textures here is a little all over the place. They kind of layered them up as they pleased. Also, this homeless guy is really terrifying for some reason. The way he moves is not okay. I just want to point that out real quick. So, okay. It's juxtaposed between trying to be something more family-friendly and something not so family-friendly. What's the issue with that? Well, there's not much of an issue. I don't mind it. I mean, obviously, I don't mind the whole sexualized people when it comes to criminal lifestyles. I don't mind, the idea of violence when it comes to a mafia. I do not whatsoever mind people in chats acting however the hell they want. And I certainly don't mind swearing. I do not mind the idea of drug cartels. At the same time, I also don't mind if a game wants to be more family-friendly, wants to take all that out, and so that it can be something much more accessible. But it kind of half-assed it, and I don't know what it wants to be. Well, okay, so next, what else is juxtaposed? Well, I mentioned the idea of Soprano, Mafia, and more modern stuff, and this weird Japanese stuff. And the Soprano would be, you got a nice sleek black car, which you click on to see ranking stuffs. That would be the way a lot of the characters look, dressed up in nice formal attire. It's the more respectful way that they treat each other. It's the butler. It's all of that. Or like the way... Obviously, they don't act like that, but the way that they're dressed, being, suits and ties and all that. But then the way that a lot of their dialogue is written, a lot of how they act in the game is very much so not Soprano. It's much more like the modern, let's just do whatever the fuck we want. The sports car out front that occasionally just zooms out for no reason. It's just the amount of we can do whatever the fuck we want attitude that everything has, that Soprano Mafia doesn't have. If you watch something like Godfather, they treat everything with a bit more respect. They know that they have their limits, that if they cross those, they can still be taken down. But these guys have more of the rich, we can do whatever the fuck we want kind of attitude. Then there's also the weird Japanese cats and stuff that are scattered all over the place for no reason that I can tell, and I don't understand it. Maybe it's a limited event thing, but it still clashes quite a bit. It's kind of all over the place, theme-wise. And it's not just the theme or the rating. That would be, the maturity rating. That would be all over the place. It's also the gameplay itself. You see, the main gripe with the game, the main thing that makes it an issue, is the base gameplay is this. Yeah, the voice acting is terrible. You collect crates and money, and you upgrade things with those things, and then once you upgrade things, you can upgrade other things with those things, and you can build things with those things. You say, okay, so the base idea is collecting those items. How do you collect them? Automatically. They just automatically get generated from the counterfeiters, from the cargo hubs. You don't have to protect them. You don't have to do anything. If you build more of them and upgrade more of them, then you get more stuff, but that's as deep as it goes. You can also get stuff from attacking other people and NPCs and stuff, but attacking other people was never incentivized, and attacking the NPCs is just as vapid because at the same time, it's the same wait for a timer, collect item. That's it. That's all there is to it, except with attacking NPCs, you're required to use some of your army. How do you build the army, you say? Because maybe that's where some of the interest comes from. Timer. Timer and spending more items. That's it. These cargo, this cash, those are just your basic to upgrade and spending items. Everything is either using those so that you can go collect more, or just straight up collecting them as is. That's it. So you say, okay, so the base gameplay is kind of bland. So what? Maybe the quests are interesting. Well, the quests do this. They have a little pointer finger. You tap where the pointer finger wants you to. And you keep doing that until either there's a time limit keeping you from continuing with that, or until you win or profit or whatever. So we'll go ahead. We'll speed it up, just so we don't have to wait. It says tap, and you profit. And you do it again. And sometimes it'll give you a bunch of quests in a row that you've already completed. Yeah, no joke. Sometimes it'll give you quests that you've already completed the objectives for, so you immediately profit. And it'll do that a bunch of times in a row, so you'll just tap on the quest marker to collect the items repeatedly until eventually it says, hey, you haven't completed this quest yet. Which, it gains you a crap ton of materials for doing practically nothing. Because you've already done all of that. Occasionally, a person will show up out front. You'll collect a thing. That's it. You're just collecting stuff. Just collecting stuff. So you say, okay, well, the base gameplay, the base idea is just collect and spend. Nothing interesting. No interesting choice on what I want to spend stuff on. It's just spend to get new stuff, use that stuff to collect more currency. Okay, well, what else do you expect from a Facebook game? And I say, well, not much else, actually. And if that was pretty much all that there is to the game, and they just had you do that, that would be fine. It would not be my cup of tea, but it would be fine. But notice how the UI here is cluttered as shit. There are a bunch of other mechanics in the game, involving events, involving the casino. Not that. That's just the profile. Involving the casino here. Involving fucking lapidary for some reason. You can make gemstones. I don't know what you do with them. They never explained that to me. Well, if they did, then it was in between tap here to profit. So, the base game is vapid and pointless and gives no feeling of reward, feeling of achieving anything. That's how most Facebook games are. That's fair enough. But then the supplementary things are all just cluttered with crap. That's all used to either sell microtransactions or slow down everything. So you have to use those speed up tokens, which again are microtransactions. So either this game is driven by the idea that it wants to be free, but it wants to make a profit without ads, which I do appreciate the lack of ads. But either it's driven by that, or the creators didn't know when to stop. You see, when you're making a game, or a movie, or a book, or really anything for that matter, you have to know when enough is enough. When you're adding in too much detail, when adding in more stuff is harming your product, not helping it. And in this game, they never stopped adding crap. I don't know if it's because this game is older than we all realize, and just now the ads are popping up and becoming popular, or if the creators just went buck wild and added in anything they thought could be interesting or fun into one game without realizing that they have to balance it. You see, GTA 5 did the same thing. except all of its little mini-games and side games are their own thing. They don't matter to the main game, but they're not shoved down your throat. They're not cluttering anything up. You can ignore them. You can never know they exist. The golf minigame. On its own, it's well done enough. It doesn't matter to the main game. It doesn't ever get in the way. But all of this crap is cluttering up the screen. It's adding extra stuff, and it's confusing everything visually. And it's not well done on its own like that golf minigame in GTA is. There's a ton of stuff here that you won't notice until you've played the game for a bit. The GM, which is essentially your help guide, right? This is where you go if you have issues. Something you should probably know about. You can find it in settings, sure, but then you have to dig through menus to find settings, because guess what? Do you see settings anywhere? No, you don't. You have to click on your profile, go to your settings, go to the GM. Why would I think to look there if I'm having problems with the game? Why would I think to look at this little red box? I wouldn't. I wouldn't think to look at either. I would think that there would be a settings marker in a corner somewhere. But it's not. Or the music system. I have it turned off because I don't know if it's advertiser friendly, we'll say. You can scroll through a bunch of different music. You can play it. For some reason, it's on this old record player, despite the fact that most of the architecture here is either modern or it's clearly been here for a while. Like the mansion, that's not modern architecture, but that's been here for a while, whilst something like the security center is modern architecture. Why is there a record player out in the grass? And why is that how you select music? Which, by the way, be happy there's no music. It's so repetitive and terrible and absolutely unacceptable. Music is the same exact thing. It's the same chord, which plays for, say, 5 seconds to 10 seconds. Repeated over and over and over and over and over again, endlessly. Oh my god, it's awful. So the music design here is also terrible. The sound design in general is just not great. It's just... there's just so much crap. There's just so much junk in the way, and so much of it doesn't matter. What's the diner do? Nothing. What do the clubs do? Nothing. Why are they in the game? Why are they here? Why are they taking up space? What does the lapidary complex do? Allows you to make gems. What do the gems do? Nothing important. What do the hospitals do? Those are actually extremely important. For some reason, you build your own hospitals and use those to heal your people. Because, every private business owner who's actually secretly in the Mafia has their own hospital. It's not like they have a corrupt doctor who works on the normal city hospital staff who helps them out here and there. No. They have their own hospital. Not just one of them, a bunch of them. 5 in total, in my case at least. There's just so much stuff that's stuck in here that I feel like the developers wanted to stick in because they thought each item would be cool on its own. None of it works together, and I don't think they realized that they didn't have the time to make any of it work on its own either. So it just comes across as one jumbled mess built around a vapid-based game mechanic. Hence, vapid and cluttered. Woo, 6,000 more cargo. What's that do for me? Nothing. Doesn't matter. I didn't achieve a goal. Didn't help me reach toward a goal. Doesn't matter. What's the power level here do? Nothing. You could say maybe your goal is to achieve a certain power level, but that's not something the game ever mentions, hints at, anything. That would be something the player has to set themselves, and if the player is the one who's deciding on the goals, then the game needs to be much more open and free than this is. And it's just not that way. It's clearly designed to be a game that will set the goals, or at least show you where the goals could be, and then let you achieve the goals. But it doesn't do that. There's some other small pet peeves. The chat system removes the ability to autocorrect. Whatever your autocorrect software is, it's disabled. So when you're typing, sometimes you'll mess up a word and it won't autocorrect. So that's a little annoying, but it's not a big issue, especially considering the chat is, of course, a complete and total shit show of people screaming about the N-word or, whatever crazy, weird doctrine or sex proposition they've got at the time, and it's all a joke anyway, it doesn't matter. Another thing that bothers me a fair bit more is, as you can see, I have a level 3 and a level 5 club. They look the exact same, and neither of them line up on the base plate. Yeah, leveling stuff up doesn't change how anything looks, which I think is kind of annoying, and a lot of the item, or I guess, places that you place down on these base plates, they don't line up quite right, so when it comes to the art design, that's not done quite well. The same thing with the wall and the mansion. As you upgrade them, they don't change at all. I was hoping that when I upgraded the mansion, it would look bigger, it would have more rooms or something. It didn't. It looks the exact same. Nothing changed. It's a level 6, but it looks just like a level 1. Functions slightly differently, allows me to unlock more stuff. That's good and all, but I would like to have the ability to, see that it's changed. There's also something called the privilege store. I don't even know what this does because I haven't figured out how to get to any of this, because apparently I need to go and destroy the storehouse. And figured out where that is, what that is. The game has never mentioned anything about it. But all I know is there's a giant yellow helicopter up here. I think it's supposed to be gold, but it's yellow. And I can't do anything with it. So, that's cool. It's also, notice how it almost seems silent right here, and then it gets really loud over here by the ocean. So you can see the New York Harbor. I just don't like this game. I don't like it at all. It is a jumbled mess of a game. My phone is about to die. That's cool. It is a jumbled mess of a game. It is both vapid and cluttered, and I hate that. I'm going to give all these games that I do on AppCrapp from now on, if I haven't already. I don't remember if I used to or not. But I'm going to give them all a rating out of 10. This one gets a 3. It's a 3 out of 10 because it gives the player no reason to care about what's happening. It gives the player no reason to give a shit about what they're doing. Most of it is nonsensical. It's just things that you can do that don't matter. And you could say stuff like Minecraft is the same, but at least it gives you the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want. This is just following what the instructions say to do for no reason other than because you were told to. Which reminds me of really shitty linear games. But even then, those often try and have a narrative to make you care. This, I don't think that there is a plot. There are NPCs, there's PvE stuff, there's another mafia that I guess we're supposed to be fighting against, there's a family that I've got involved or something. But none of these characters do anything. I haven't heard anything about them. Firelord here is a fucking superhero. What? Why? None of it. It's just... all of it is just crap thrown together. It deserves a 3 out of 10. And if you're hoping for a meme, fun game, kind of like the ads suggest, where you start out as something small, you do a bunch of ridiculous random shit, and you end up really powerful for no apparent reason, you're not going to get that. You start out as a boss, you end as a boss. None of it matters. You don't find any ridiculous fun things to do. There's no bank called Bank that you shoot at that just spurts money. It's all tap here, watch the numbers go up, and wait for the timer to count down. And that doesn't make for very compelling gameplay. So with a terrible score of, again, 3 out of 10, I feel like I've completely wrapped up everything you need to know about this app. Hopefully, this has helped you in your decision on whether or not you want to download this free app. It is free, so I'll give it that credit. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. And see you guys next time. Goodbye.